Around a information sheet. Basically, if you're a new member, we'd like to get to know you. But old members, if you have any changes on your emails or anything like that, we need an update, and we'll put that to membership and update the roster. So that's going out. That's okay. You got a pen to go with that? I lost the pen.
There's a bunch of pens over here.
Wait, maybe I did. Okay. Yes. Would you? Thank you. Also, we have Sandy's on the beach. We go to as an afterglow to this meeting. So we have a meeting after the meeting. It's fun. They don't take credit cards, so you have to have cash if you go.
They have an ATM.
But they do have an ATM. Also, there's cooking workshop flyers on the entrance board because Carol was running around and doing stuff. Now, up to you, Bob, for
Okay.
or
Introduction.
Thank you.
All right.
Retirement really takes its toll.
We're happy to welcome Randy Golonek for his second presentation to Solar. This is an amazing bike ride, not only from SauleSteMarie down to KeyWest, but he rode it on this bike, which is something that I don't think I'd be able to climb on, much less balance for more than 2 seconds. So he and his daughter, first of all, did it west to east or east to west? West to east. And then they decided, hey, why not do north to south as well? So we're excited to have him present this trip and the experiences that he had with his daughter on this old-fashioned bike.
I'm hoping I'm just going to talk loud. And if it doesn't work, then you could tell me. Well, thanks for having me back. The first time I was here was about the trip when we rode from San Francisco to Boston. And at that time, if you were here, you remember, there was a film crew that was with us. And the film is getting ready to be released 6 years later. And I talked to the director just before I came here and asked him to send me the prequel or the teaser for it. So I have the teaser. It's funny that it's not, why that's up there and that's not what's on the screen here. So, we may not be able to see it because now this isn't talking to that. Let's go back to...
A Windows laptop or?
Well, yeah, but what's on here is not what's up there right now.
I speak computer.
Yay, Let's see if it switches. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try it after, because right now it doesn't want to show it. So anyways, after we did our first trip, I was planning on riding north to south because I was the 33rd person since 1886 to ride east to west or vice versa on the high rail. And 5 other people had done north to south in addition to that. And I decided that I wanted to experience that also. So I talked to my daughter who was trying to be the first one across the country and was beat by somebody else the same year. And I said, no woman's ever done both. So she said, let's go. So we were deciding what to do. Several people had done from International Falls down to New Orleans. One person did the East Coast. We were from Michigan, so one of my friends says, usually really go from SauleSteMarie. And I said, well, I'm going to Key West no matter how we do it, because I just wanted to ride that portion of the country. So we decided to do SauleSteMarie to Key West, and that's where this all started at. So, can you hear me all? Yes. Good. I can talk louder. So this is when we were getting ready to start. No?
There it is.
Oh, okay. This connection is okay.
Yeah.
maybe drag it. Yeah, drag it over a little bit.
We're just not getting a signal out of this.
Bob, if you could just describe the pictures, please?
I cannot.
That's what we want.
You want me to unplug it from this end for a minute?
No, don't do that. It takes 10 minutes to warm up again.
No, just the plug-in, not the whole.
Yeah, I think it is. Have you gone back to the dual screen?
Yeah, we just did that.
Okay. Did that go into sleep mode? Yeah, so that's it's waiting for a signal from his machine.
So I have maps to the bar afterwards. If anybody would like a map to the bar, raise their hand. I believe I can deliver them if you'd like.
Can you fold it into a paper airplane?
I cannot.
Cover it?
That's disappointing.
It's east on 5 Mile, at Beach Haley.
On the south side of Boston.
Did I hear somebody wanted a map?
What's the name of the place again? I forget.
It's Sandy's on the beach.
Sandy's up.
It's an afternoon walk. That way, you can see what we're talking about.
My husband is on the dairy free.
I hate to say, most of these other people have done this bar before.
Okay.
All right. Well,
Sam, what's the name of the book?
I can look at my notes, is it the same one from the last?
No, this is the second version.
Well, I'm gonna probably take it.
What? In text?
Sorry for the technical difficulties, online people.
He has to do it.
That's okay.
But middle school. French show. But anyway, sixth grade is just an introduction. Colors, numbers. But I took Russian now, so I've got that.
She doesn't think that's an intro.
I can. Oh, no, I understand. Like, no. Yeah, I lived in
Well, here's it's so cheap.
my daughter got married.
On the books, it's $19.95. First book and every book after 12 Bob in the front.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, they,
No, but I think I have a couple, like I have that one.
This is a registered venture too. So this is the same one. I have that one, I have a half a dozen, probably, but this one's awesome. I actually, Leslie has registered. And, this is the original. Yeah, and I've been emailing with Glenn, and I told him this deal with that, because I said, I'm not gonna know.
Okay, we have the winners of the solar photo contest.
Okay.
For landscape, we have Carol.
what does she get, Dave?
Carol is number 5. Number 5. For wildlife, we have Jeff Grossklaus.
This is the wildlife photo.
You still have to go through
This
these.
is the landscape.
For solar friends, we have Laura Miller.
And Dave.
And then for water, we have Jeff McWilliams.
Just helping.
And Dave, what did they get for winning?
They
Besides
got
accolades?
two REI cards of unknown value.
What number was Jeff?
Jeff McWilliams is number 4.
And did Laura count any of the votes since she,
No, I didn't.
okay,
No.
just checking.
Christina and Dave were.
They're all counted by Dave Warden.
Come and get a picture.
Any disputes come to me and I'll just ignore them.
Right now it is anyway.
We need you all to come over
Oh,
here.
well, we can sit there.
Talk about it.
They gotta run out. Here's a couple of them.
All right. Here's Dave, that's Laura's, and Jeff's, Carol's.
Let's pull your stand.
Do you want somebody to just sit there and
This is the,
talk?
no. Wait, no, you're gonna have to get a picture later. Like holding it like this.
Don't pull anything. Hey, Bill, don't pull anything. Yeah, you're messing things up. Don't let it off for a minute.
That's very generous of you.
Do you have an extra USB port?
Bob, you please stand by.
Yeah, see, this was a
No, but I'm updating the crowd by a text message.
$5 up one, so the first one. And then everyone had to report it. Up to 12. And it's, he actually says he can come with you. So that he's the second order. Look at the great,
So if you can, okay.
So I'll be surprised what comes up as you guys.
Do you want me to,
this would be
Jeff, do you want me to sit there and do that, or?
recipes for venture book 2. And, Leslie consists
Are you gonna sit there, Jeff, and do that, or?
He's gonna try to use that little remote control.
Okay.
You want me to maybe put this up here? Do you think you can? Put it is the cable long enough?
recipes adventure 2. One is for Leslie.
I don't think it's gonna reach.
Here, go back to the beginning for him. He says it only works one way.
This recipe,
There we go. Okay. All right. The show is back on. Talk fast.
We'll work through it. Anyway,
Take your time. At the beginning.
Oh, I can do it.
the eye slid off.
No, I just did it for you.
Did you? Okay. My wife was over here, and we loaded up the 2 bikes here and drove up to SauleSteMarie, with my daughter. This is obviously still during pandemic, 2020. And just before we left, my daughter from California had a friend whose entire vacation had got canceled last minute. She was a cyclist. And she didn't have nothing to do for a whole week. And we said, well, we have a safety bike. And she'd already been riding with my daughter while she was training out in California on her safety bike. So Leanne decided to come along for the first week while we were riding through Michigan. That's why you see the extra person in there.
I'll just keep doing it.
Yeah. So, up in Sault Ste. Marie, we do what's called, the first time was a salt to salt. This time it's going to be from the St. Mary's River, I believe, up there that runs through Sault Ste. Marie. So we dipped in the front there, and
You just point at me and I'll
okay,
move
okay.
it.
Promise I don't know what the next slide is. So here's where we were dipping our rear wheel in to get ready to start our trip heading south. Let me see if this works. So running through the UP, there's Leanne and Amy riding along. We were in October, so the colors were quite good. And we made it through, on the first day, all the way through the Upper Peninsula and down to the ferry docks there. We decided to take a picture by the Starline boat before we headed over to the hotel that we're going to stay at that night. We did, after riding all day, we decided we should ride some on the island anyway. So we rode out to the arch, which is famous on the island, so that Leanne could see that and took our pictures of our bikes there. We stayed at the Murray Hotel, which is where I'm part of the Wheelmen, and the Wheelmen go there every 2 years for a big Michigan, basically Midwest meet, which will be the end of June this year, and we all stay at the Murray Hotel, so we have a great relationship with the Murray Hotel. So all they had to do is tell them that it was coming, they got us a room and everything, and we could stay where we always stay, right across from the boat dock. So now we're down in the lower peninsula. Leanne's still with us, of course. We're just taking some pictures in the fall colors. You'll see the garb that we're wearing change daily. Some days you're riding in a jersey, the next day you're bundled up like anything because it's October and the weather is changing dramatically day by day. We're riding down one of the bike paths. This is Amy and I doing what's called an arm brace, where you just ride no-handed and hang on to each other. Bikes are pretty easy to ride no-handed because you can steer with your feet. Your front wheel is controlled by your feet, so you can actually learn to steer with your feet pretty easily. So that's not that difficult to do.
Is that the rails to trails, like from Mackinac down to somewhere
Yeah,
else?
we're going down towards Gaylord. Yep, it's one of those rails to trails along there. And we were riding down, there was a lot of rain the year that we were going, and we came to a section where the road was closed. Fortunately, high-wheel bikes go through deep water pretty easily. The only problem is you can't see what's under the water, so that's kind of can be a little bit problematic, as you see as we get further south anyways. We stopped, there's a lot of wheelmen throughout the country. We have 900 members internationally and nationally here. So we had a lot of help along the way, like the first time. We would be able to stop and meet with some of our friends from the wheelmen. This is Donna Wheeler, who lives over on the west side of the state. And we went and visited with them that night, and then she rode out with us the next morning. And as you can see, the fall colors were it was a beautiful, beautiful ride when we were riding. This is heading down towards Grand Rapids on the west side of the state. We ride rails to trails or bike paths whenever they are possible and rideable by high wheels. A lot of times they're not, because if they're loose gravel, but a tire that's 7/8 of an inch wide, hard tire doesn't do well on it at all. We took a picture of this because there's a beaver dam along the trail. It was just a pretty picture. Of course, they found a dinosaur, so we had to stop so they could ride that. You have a lot of time to talk when you ride high wheels, because you remember when you're not riding that fast. I mean, we ride between 10 and 12 miles an hour depending on the thing. So you have a lot of time you can converse with somebody. So we got to talk to Leanne a lot like that. So you'll see a couple of pictures. This is what happens when you ride with a pneumatic bicycle. She has a flat tire at this point. So we're coming up the hill, we're trying to find some place to fix her flat tire. Fortunately, my wife was still with us at this point. She hadn't gone home. So we were able to fix the flat tire, went flat again. We found some guy who took her up to a bike shop to finally get the tire fixed. A problem that you do not have with high-wheel bikes because they have no air in their tires. This is the last day before Pam went back home. She was with us for the first week. And then she went back home, and you'll see her, she rejoined us back again right at the Atlanta border to stay with us all the way down to Key West and drive us home. But at this point, we were taking off on our own for the next 2 weeks. I was just shocked that we were in Grand Rapids. This is in the middle of the city, and the amount of fly fishers that were in the river that time, and I didn't realize this is the #1 fishing spot in the state when the salmon come running up. And my friend, as soon as I showed him pictures, said, oh yeah, there's hundreds of people. You can't even get in that river when they're up there. And they were all over the river. I mean, this is just a small sampling of them right in downtown. So we would stop whenever there's something scenic to take a picture in case we wanted to enter your picture composition center. But there was a nice barn there. We had stopped there to stretch. With high wheels, you kind of have to schedule time off of the bike because you never get off your seat. Whereas on your road bike and your mountain bike, you can stand up on the pedals anytime you want. On the highway, you never get off your seat. So when you're carrying a backpack, you have the weight of that. Plus, you're sitting on the seat all the time. So we try and schedule a stop between either 25 miles or 1 to 2 hours. So you're just off the seat to get some circulation back in that area because it gets very unhappy after a while. And she's stretching by the fence there. And every once in a while you see an inspirational sign where you're going along, and I saw this and I'm going like, we can do this, and I'm going, and we're still pretty early on in the trip like that getting broke in. So we need a picture of that just for our slide thing showing, you know, that there's people inspiring us along the way. I was trying to get a picture of Lake Michigan. And when you ride down the coast, and if you've done this on a bicycle, you never see Lake Michigan. The road goes nowhere near it. This little park decided, got close enough so I could actually get a picture of Lake Michigan. Unfortunately, when I rode in there, I ended up in the sand, wiped out on the bike, broke my handle grip on my bike, which is a solid thing on there. So she goes, this is the pace of our first crash, and it was that sand. I just got there and hit the loose sand, and the bike just came out and went down. But no one got hurt, and the bike was fine. I taped the handlebar back together. One of the things we talk about on the bike is what you'd like to see while you're on a bicycle riding along. And Leanne said she wanted to see a gorilla. Leanne's not with us at this point. I have never seen a gorilla in thousands of miles of riding. We ride by this thing, and there's this gorilla there. We have to take a pictures for Leanne because we actually saw one. Dollar General is a biking, if you're a biker, Dollar General is a great friend of yours, if you didn't know that already. Number one, they always have bathrooms that are open that you can use. This is 2020. We thought we would not have any trouble because we weren't in contact with any people, but the restaurants were all closed. So anytime you went to a fast food place where you would normally be able to go to the bathroom if you got going through a town or something like that, no bathrooms were open anywhere. So Dollar General became our best friend all the way down, and there are Dollar Generals absolutely everywhere. Every town you go into, there's a Dollar General, and they were all open, and they all let us use their bathrooms. And they, of course, then they have cheap snacks and stuff like that because you get to eat whenever you want when you're cycling all day. We hit the Indiana state line. There was no sign, so we asked some of our wheelman's friends that we were going to visit with that night to take a picture for us and send it because we were on a rural road and there was no welcome to Indiana sign for us to take. So they took a picture of them welcoming us to Indiana. Bike paths aren't always high wheel friendly, as you can see here. I don't know that she made it under that. I doubt she did. I know I did not. There's just no way to get down low enough to get underneath that. Oh, so that's the same family that came and picked us up and took us out for pizza that night. So this is us riding down some of the rural places in Indiana. Indiana was extremely wet in 2020 we rode down. We rode in some extremely rural areas using Google Maps and that kind of thing. This day was all rainy and cold, and we came upon, we were in the middle of nowhere, and we came on this little store that was basically, this is the store, we're in it right here, but it's out of the rain and it's out of the cold. It's probably 40 degrees and raining out right now, and we go in there, there's this little heater, and around the side is this little guy sitting on a stool with more stuff, and it was like a Walmart's condensed down to like 200 square feet, because you can see the stuff. He's selling like toaster ovens and stuff, and you go on the other side, and he has every kind. It was a pretty amazing little store.
What, in Indiana?
It was in Indiana, in the middle of, nowhere. Here's our first bike problem. She snapped a spoke, so at this point we just unscrewed it and took it out. You can do that. This is a deja vu place. We were riding along, and I'm crossing this bridge, and I stopped, and I said, we gotta get off the bike. I've been on this bridge before. Have no idea, I have to figure out why I would have ever been on this bridge riding my high wheel bike. But I had rode to a meet in Missouri a year or two before with one of my friends, because cycling people like to ride to the meets when we have national meets, because that's how they did in the 1800s. And I rode across this bridge. And we were going east to west out to Missouri, we were going from north to south, but it just so happens we went across the same bridge. When we got out the other side, we turned right and we just kept on going, but it was like deja vu. I go, I've been on this bridge, I know I've been on this bridge. And this is just some person that had an incredible amount of weird yard art that we had to stop and look at, because if you look at the next picture, I mean, this stuff was everywhere. And this guy made all this stuff, so we had to stop and take a picture because, you know, that's a lot of work. You know, it just was very cool to see that you would never see unless you're out on your bicycle. We call this picture 7 rows in. So can anyone guess what she was doing? Is going to the bathroom. So we had figured you can't see anyone in corn once you get 7 rows in. So the real problem is we got further south, the corn started to be cut. So when you're out there and for hours and hours, sometimes there is just no place to go to the bathroom at all. And cornfields are by far your best friend. And when you get 7 rows in, no one knows you're there. We were in a little town. This is actually by Goshen, Indiana. I was there. Another place I was riding by, and I go, I've been to this place before. And this is a pork sandwich. People, they were eating this on the table next to us. There's no way you can eat this and cycle, no matter how much you cycle. You just can't put that in your gut. But basically, it's the size of a plate. They stick it on a hamburger bun. So we had to take a picture of this thing because, I mean, it's just. But that couple that rode 2 hours on a motorcycle just to eat that were sitting next to them.
Did they share it?
Yeah, they shared it, but they take some pork thing and pound the crap out of it and make it like this big around.
That's crazy.
That's a dinner plate underneath. That's a dinner plate. It's no hands out. This was our very first donut on the trip. If you're a cyclist, you love donuts. And I'm already like 9 or 10 days into a trip without a donut, and we go into this donut shop. And she sees our bikes and she gives us the donut for nothing. So we're taking a picture and putting it out there so everyone knows what a great donut shop you have. As we rode down into Indiana, we got down to southern Indiana, and there was a store down there that I'd been to before, which is like one of my favorite stores in the world. This is Shimps, which is a candy store that's been in business. That's Mr. Shrimp there, 5th generation owning this. It was started in the 1800s. And we were there. My daughter finally dragged me out of this place because I love this kind of thing. And we were in there, they showed us all kinds of stuff. They took us on a tour. They showed us how to make the candy. And if you go to the next slide, they showed us all the candy molds that they have of high wheel bikes, which are incredibly rare. So anyways, it was very exciting. So we crossed from Indiana into Kentucky across the Big Four Bridge, which is a railroad trestle that's way up in the air that they've redone for pedestrians and cyclists only. So you ride this big spiral all the way up, you go across the river, and you come down on the other side. So that's my friends, and we get to the other side, and the people in Louisville had scheduled for the newspaper and paper to come out to meet us. So that's not them, though. So the newspaper and they all come to meet, and these 2 guys come walking up with British accents from the BBC. And go, oh my gosh, can we talk to you? So they filmed us from the BBC while we're standing there, and we did an episode for I have no idea what show. It was cool talking to them because they had a British accent. That was the coolest part. So there's no sign also there, welcome to Kentucky. So this is my friends in Louisville, Wheelman, and they took a picture for us and sent it to us. So we stayed at their house that night. They're the ones that arranged all of that. That's her back in the corner back there. And that was the newspaper article they were coming out to film, and then we were crossing the bridge. So we spent the night with them, and then they rode out with us in the next morning. He used to own the bike store that my jersey I am wearing there are. They're dear friends of ours, and they were riding us out of Louisville to get us out of the town and all the traffic before we continued on through Kentucky. So there's another thing. We're at a gas station, we stop, and this girl walks up with this shirt. And I go, you have to take a picture with my bike. And she just goes, nope. She says, there's no way I can get on your bike. I go, not today. I'm not getting on your bike. So she was a good sport. Google Maps, if anyone rides for a cycle, are not terribly reliable. The bridge that's in front of you has been out for 2 years. We rode 6 miles at this point to get to this point, and the bridge is out completely. Fortunately, I hate to use my daughter, 28 and blonde and all that kind of stuff with construction workers, but it works very well to get through places that you're not supposed to go through. If she walks up and says, "Is there any way I can get through?" Those guys all say yes. So they wanted to say, "What's that?" You use what's at your disposal. Yeah, that's like worth it. Well, you have to let me go because. So, anyways, these guys were very friendly, and we had told them what happens, and they let us get through all of this and walk our bikes across the stuff and the planks and stuff to get through the other side. This is just after we got through that, we're riding somewhere in Kentucky right here, taking a break. I'm probably fixing a bike actually right now. We were having trouble with the rear spokes breaking from the concrete and everything like that. So she's just taking rest on a farm wagon. So we stopped. We stopped at this barbecue place in the little town, and we met this little guy. And that's the owner of the shop, and that's his grandson there. And just before I left on this trip, my friend Charlie Harper from Harper Cycle in Muscatine, Iowa, who's a dear friend of mine, who helped us on our first trip, calls me. In fact, we're getting in the car to leave. He goes, because I had taken a picture of one of my deceased friends with me on the other trip as our guardian angel, and he was still with us on my backpack. Charlie goes, "You got to take me with you on your trip. I want to go. I've never got to go north to south." So I ran inside, made a copy of 2 pictures of Charlie. That's him there, and one's up front and one's the back. And they go, "Oh, we got a hot and mild, so we'll put the backhand side of him on the hot one, and then the mild on that one." So that's just the first person of picture of Charlie making his north to south trip. And Charlie would call me every 2 to 3 days, check in, see what we needed, see how we were doing. He was a very good friend of mine. So we finally make it to the Tennessee line, and my daughter's college friend who also lived in Tennessee wanted to send a picture sending "Welcome to Tennessee." This happens to be the Tennessee line at the Georgia border because there was no Tennessee line at the Kentucky border. So we took one there and turned around and took a picture of the other one, but he sent us that. This is an incredibly nasty downhill. You can't tell from here. This is not rideable on a high wheel because of the brakes. You don't have really any brakes. And you can't see. It was a mile and a half down with no shoulder, no nothing. You couldn't see. We were trying to walk down it. And the problem was there was no place for us to walk either. And these cars were coming by, and it was like getting extremely dangerous. And we're going like, we got to figure out something to do. So we can go to the next slide. So we're standing on the road just a little bit further, and this lady has this house on the cliff, and she goes, "Can I help you?" And he goes, "Yeah, we got this problem. We can't get down this, not safely." And she goes, "Oh, we'll just stick him in the pickup truck, and we'll just drive you down." So that's her husband came out, loaded the bikes in the pickup truck, and drove us down the hill to the bottom so we could get back on the bikes and start riding again. This is just overlooking the same valley before we went down. We take pictures of all superheroes that we see, especially little guys that come like that. And Amy takes pictures by anything that's of interest, like giant elephants, and you'll see giant lobsters and all kinds of stuff. Here we are back at our favorite store again. She goes, "We need another picture." Usually the Dollar General people will come out and take a picture with us underneath their sign. But they were our savior. Crossing one of the rivers, heading down we're in Tennessee right now. I couldn't even tell you where we're at. What river? I'm not sure which slide it is. I can't remember what was significant. Oh, I know what's significant. We didn't take this picture. A motorist stopped and took this picture and sent it to us because there's very few pictures of both of us together because you're always taking the picture. So someone stopped and took a picture for us while we were standing there. Now Pam has joined us back. We're now at the Georgia border. And as you can see, you can eat as much as you want when you cycle all day. So I have like quite a load of food there to eat. I think we're at Cracker Barrel. Yeah. We hit the 1,000-mile mark, and there was nothing to mark it. So Amy made it out of rocks. So that's where 1,000 miles was in our trip. And we are now at the Georgia state line, getting ready to cross into cotton country. And I was riding across this bridge on some rural road, and the cows were down in the creek, and I just thought that was kind of bizarre. Because I mean, I've grown up with cows all my life, but I've never seen them walking in creeks like that, so. This is how Pam helps us. She would have a chair in there for Amy and snacks and Gatorade and stuff like that, and she'd drive anywhere from 10 to 20 miles ahead of us and pull over someplace, and we'd find her and get a break and tell us getting warmer. We're wearing, you know, leather jackets and everything like that. That's my friend Ray, who is our guardian angel, and rides on the back of my bike and rode all the way down, all the way across the country and all the way down to Florida with me also on this. We get to Atlanta and we have some wheelman friends there who rode out on a tandem. For all you cyclists who like following tandems, it doesn't work great on the high wheel. There's no way I can keep up with a tandem on the high wheel. I mean, a road bike is difficult to do it with. But they were very conscientious and just stayed ahead of us and kept the traffic away. And at this point, they were a big help because we were going down the hill and riding, and Ray decided to jump off the back of my bike somehow. So the thing goes flying off, and you know, it's a bad omen, and you can't have that. So they went back and found him by the road and brought him back, and we stuck him back on the bike. And so here we are riding. This is when, I think it's Hurricane Eta was the one that was big down there. So you can see everything that's white in there, like Hurricane Eta is coming in at this point, and just come through, it's coming through Georgia. So we got stranded at their house for an extra half a day, sitting waiting for the rain. So now we're riding towards Atlanta to ride through. We're going to ride through the city of Atlanta is what's going to happen. So you'll see pictures of almost everyone will be on our feet, only because to take the pictures we had to get off the bike. But we're going to ride right through downtown Atlanta on bike trails. I'm riding along the train station there. And sometimes you have to walk because you're in tunnels going underneath things and stuff like that. So that's all going through the city of Atlanta. So we get through Atlanta, we're back out into Georgia, and we find this really cool little country store. So we stopped at the country store and bought some jam and took pictures of the people on the porch of the country store. And we met another superhero. Cotton was in bloom, and I was foolish enough to stop alongside the road when we first got to the States so I could pick up a piece of cotton so I have it as a souvenir. And then I rode for 5 days through cotton flying everywhere. I realized, and peanut shells everywhere. So that's just us riding along the cotton fields. Very interesting. I had no idea how they picked cotton or how they transported cotton. So that is all cotton. They bale it into things that size, like round bales of hay and everything that we're used to seeing, but that's cotton. And then they take it to these giant mills, and the mills will either repack it or ship it out like that. Working on the rear wheel of the bike at this point, probably I'm down to 4 broken spokes at this point. I only have 20 in there. I can make it to 5 before the wheel starts wobbling and stuff like that. And I think I made it to 5 and made it all the way through the trip without changing out the wheel and the spokes, because you have to take the rubber and everything off the wheel to change the spokes, so it's not very doable. This is another thing for Google Maps. So Google Maps decided that we should go down this dirt road, which we couldn't go down, so we rerouted, and it took us to a worse dirt road. So at this point, I said, forget Google Maps, I know this route, whatever's going to go south for I don't know how many miles to the next town or whatever, like, so we rode back to the main road and just stayed on the main road with the traffic and all the way down. This is one of the heartwarming stories. This lady is actually from Michigan. I don't know her, but I know her family. I was a pharmacist in Carleton, and I took care of her parents and her brothers and sisters and all like that, and she had found out we were in Georgia, and she lives in Georgia. And Amy posts every day on, she has a blog that she writes, and she has this post on there. In every state we go into, we always look for a food that's unique to the state. We thought moon pies were from Georgia. They're not. They're from Tennessee. But we were looking for moon pies, we were looking for peach cobbler, and Georgia peanuts is what we were looking for. And we had not found any of these things, and we're almost ready to leave the state. So this morning we're staying at this hotel, and we get up to leave, and Amy crashes in the parking lot, getting on the bike. Just wipes out. So it's going to take us 5 or 10 minutes for her to get herself reorganized. Didn't hurt the bike or anything like that. And meanwhile, this car comes screaming up into the parking lot. And she goes, I am Mary. I'm from Carleton, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going like, I have no idea who you're. And she finally told me who she was. Her brother showed us our blog, showed us what we were looking for. She lived 20 miles away from us, had no idea where we were staying, no idea where we were going, just knew we were in the city. Drove up there that morning, was on the roads trying to find us, and saw us sitting in the hotel parking lot, and brought us moon pies, oranges from her, peanuts, and cotton. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, that's all we talked about the whole day after that. For someone to do that just on their own and to have the luck to find us, because as soon as we pulled out of the parking lot, we were going to be on the back roads again, on nothing main at all, because it was all back roads to get out of Georgia before we hit Florida. And even you can see it's just a 2-lane rural road. And here's where we hit the Florida state line. So this trip is 2,200 miles long. So you saw the 1,000-mile point. We rode all the way from Michigan all the way down to that 1,000-mile point. And we were like in Tennessee. So all we had was Georgia and Florida to go. And we still had over 1,000 miles to do. You ride in Georgia forever, and you ride in Florida for even longer. So we get to the state line, and there's this guy. You guys remember Stuckey's? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Remember? This was a Stuckey's at one time. And they had the state line thing in the middle. They had 2 Stuckey's, one on each side. And we're standing, the guy bought them, and he had 2 houses there, and we were standing on either side of the state line, which split the 2 Stuckey's, and they were now his houses. And he gave us lemons and everything like that. So we were riding down the bike path in Florida, and we start running into some cyclists. We ran into this group of ladies, and see what's on that lady's shoulder? That's her bird. She has this bird carrier on the back of her bike, and the bird rides in there. No, it's on her backpack. And then she just got out and was sitting on her shoulder, and they were visiting with us. And that, I've never seen that before. No. And riding down even further, we ran into another road out there. The lady in front taking the picture was from Detroit, Michigan, and moved down to Florida and saw us. And they rode with us for quite a while. She goes, "Oh, we have to take a picture with you because you're riding from my hometown." So it was a bike club that was down in there riding out on their morning ride. And we finally hit the coast. Our plan was to ride Route 1 down the coast all the way down to KeyWest, which we did mostly. A lot of times you had to get away from it because of the traffic, but that's our first thing at the Atlantic Ocean right there. And you can see the wind. So it's becoming incredibly windy riding, and you'll see as the waves and all the stuff, everything is just blowing. So that's where we hit the coast, was at Flagler Beach, and then we turned and headed south. We got to Daytona Beach. And one of my friends that live in Florida says, "You can ride on the beach on the highway." I'm going, "There's no stinking way I can ride in sand on there." He goes, "Yes, you can." So I took my bike down there, and you can ride on the sand. Is packed so hard, you can ride a high wheel on it. And so anyways, that's a time photo that was put together of me riding down the beach sometime ago. We did that. And then my daughter got a turn to ride down on the beach. So we were riding around on the beach on the high wheel. We had stopped at a place, and right across the street was a baby squirrel rescue place. This is the kind of stuff you get to see when you're on a bike that you never see in a car. And the lady said, "Come on in, you get to play with and hold the squirrel." So we got to go inside and hold all these baby squirrels that she was fostering and everything to put back out. I had to take a picture of this. You know what building that is?
That's the VAB.
Yeah, that's the assembly building. That's like one of my favorite places in the world. But we were riding along there in Titusville, and I saw that. I go, "I have to take a picture of that just because that's cool." That night we stopped at if you ever try that, go to Dixie Crossroads. Best seafood place in the world. It's a wonderful place. So we had to go. We drove to Dixie Crossroads so we could eat. There was a big giant turtle rescue place, so Amy and I stopped at the turtle rescue place and saw all the green turtles that they were doing the rescue with down along the coast, and we stopped in there for a break. And you can see how windy it is, so that was just a picture along the beach there of how windy it was when we were riding. Amy's hair is getting all blown over. It's not fun on a high wheel in the wind like this. And it was raining a lot. So you can ride in the rain, pretty decent rain. You can't ride in rain like that because you can't even see. And the bike gets extremely slippery. The tires get very slippery. So fortunately, she's standing in front of a donut shop. So we got donuts while we were sitting under there waiting for this torrential downpour to stop. And this is where you can't ride through the water. This is the bike path that we were supposed to take. for the next, I don't know how many miles, and we get to the gate to go start on the path, and it's under probably 4 feet of water from the hurricane and everything like that. So it's time to reroute back on the roads again.
Was that a levee wall or just a fence?
That was just a fence,
Oh.
yeah. They had, I don't know how much rain there. So we're getting ready to leave the mainland here. This is the southernmost tavern on the mainland USA. This is just before you start into the Keys on the byway in Key Largo, or before you're going into Key Largo. They're right at the southernmost point. So we're 20 miles out on, going to be out to Key Largo. So we're 122 miles now away from Key West. This is riding along the road. It's very bike friendly. They have a bike lane pretty much all the way to Key West. There's a few places where you have to ride on the road and stuff like that, but pretty much it's very bike friendly. So if you're ever looking for a great place to do a century ride, or even, you know, a 2-day or 3-day ride, you start up at, I think it's called Homestead, and you ride down to Key West. It's phenomenal. Probably the best 100 miles I've ridden out of the 5,000 or 6,000 that I've rode crossing the country. So we're in Key Largo right now, and we come across this guy. See that's a bike carrier, and behind that is this trailer. This guy lives on the road on his bicycle with his cat. And he was on his way to California from there. So he just pedals along so far, puts up his tent, and him and the cat. So we're now doing our countdown, our century to Key West to mile 0. So every 25 miles we stopped at the mile marker sign as we were riding along the Keys. These guys are everywhere. I don't know how we did not run over iguanas, because they sit on the bike path all the time, and they run like right in front of your spoke. They just get out of the way the last second, and it's like, and there's hundreds of them. They're just running everywhere all the time. They're everywhere. So instead of an elephant, this is the giant lobster that's along the route there. You have to take a picture of. And someone had told me I needed to go to Bobby's Marinas and feed the tarpon, which basically they give you this fishing hole, and this giant fish comes out of the water and grabs the fish out of your hand. So we did that. Oh, it's going to actually show what happened. You watch this. Where's the pelicans? Oh, wow. You'll get it. If he doesn't get it, the next picture will show you who does get it. That guy stole several of them from me while I was standing there, because you just stand there with a fish in your hand, all of a sudden this pelican just nabs it out of your hand. So it's called Robbie's, so we stopped there and did that. Now we're down to mile 75. We're doing the countdown. Down to mile 50. We're in Marathon. Here's where somebody took a picture of us on the 7-mile bridge. My daughter does not like riding bridges, so she definitely didn't like riding 7 miles on a bridge. But you can see it's a pretty wide lane. The big problem is, number one, you want to make sure you don't have to go to the bathroom or anything like that, because you have 7 miles of bridge and nowhere absolutely to go. But a couple from Indiana was driving the other way, saw us, took these pictures, and then they were back and found us in Key West. And you get into Big Pine Key, or where the key deer are. This is one of the key deers. This is the only one that we saw on that thing. They're endangered. They got all kinds of rules about them there, but they're tiny. That's like, it's hard to gauge, but that thing is like a dog, the size of a dog. They're puny little deer. This is our last hotel before we finish our ride. So Amy's got to take her almost done picture. You can see her raccoon eyes from her sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we took this same picture in Boston before we headed to the harbor. So we took another picture the same way before we headed to the Atlantic Ocean. And there's our side driver Pam with us before we take off on our last day here. I had a customer, the two on the left and right are customers of mine at the pharmacy who have a house in Marathon. And we went to visit them the night before, and she just got this brand new bicycle. Vera's like 85 years old. I got a new bike too. I said, when we ride by from the hotel, we're coming by and we're taking a picture with your bike. So all three of us, the two ladies are her daughters and her friend, so they have the high wheels. They took a picture with Mrs. Ring and her brand new bicycle. So now we're at mile 25, riding along from key to key. We took pictures of all the bridges. We ate lunch at a place that had mile marker 10. Plus they had a funny sign there about 4 dancing penguins apart. Okay, so now we're getting close to Key West. Before we got to Key West, when we were in Louisville, a good friend of mine in Louisville's daughter lives in Key West, and she's very big in the tourism portion, has a lot of inside people in Key West. So when she found out we were coming to Key West, she made a big stinking deal out. She contacted the media, she contacted the news, she contacted the bike clubs, she contacted her boyfriend, happens to be the chief of police. So these pictures, a lot of these pictures you'll see are being taken by national news teams that are already down there. That we didn't have anything like this when we finished the first trip. The exposure at this thing was phenomenal. I mean, it was kind of like overwhelming. So now we have these cars with these camera people hanging out of them, taking pictures and following us along. So that's Destiny right there. And the big thing is when you get in Key West, of course, you have to wear a tutu, which she brought for my daughter to wear. That's her boyfriend back there with the police car, and you'll see in these pictures coming up. She's got her tutu on. We're welcoming him into Key West. The police are all there, so we have a police escort all the way through Key West, all the way down to the southern point. We have a car behind us, 2 behind us. We have the entire Key West Bicycle Club, which is probably the most unique bicycle club you'll ever see in your life. These guys are very different. They are a blast is what they are. So we're riding along, and you can see we have the whole lane. It's not like we're riding single file. These are being taken by NBC at this point. So we finally get there, and has anyone been to this place before? So there's a line, right? There's always a line. We didn't stand in the line at all. So, I mean, this news crew clears everybody out, and they're like, oh, we're sorry. We get to ride right up to it. They take all our pictures and everything. All these people stand there. I'm going like, feeling quite bad about it because, you know, all these people in line to take pictures. But we just rode right up, and we took all our pictures there. We went over to mile 0, which is mile 0, route 1, and took a picture there, and then, of course, headed down to the beach to take pictures of our front wheel going into the Atlantic Ocean, well, actually the Gulf of Mexico. This is Amy and I having our moment that we had finished our trip. Ray gets his dip in, he's done his second cross country. And then Charlie's in there, Ray's in there, and that's my memento from my oldest daughter that I carry with me on all my trips as a good luck memento. So there's Destiny. She also got us 2 nights in a hotel on Key West, which is, I don't know how expensive. Somebody from there just gave us 2 nights in this gorgeous hotel to stay, so we could stay there and have a day to recuperate and enjoy, do all these things. Got free rides on the conch train. We went out and ate and did all the stuff that was fun to do there. And then when we were at the bike club, says, oh, we finished on Saturday. We're riding Sunday morning at 8 o'clock. You just finished riding 2,200 miles. You want to come ride with us? I go, why not? So we get up at 8 o'clock and we go ride with the Key West Bike Club. And so we go up, and what we ended up doing, one of the guys there, it happens to be one of the tour guys on the train. So I go, well, you know, if we're riding around, why don't you give me? So he just breaks into, on your left, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So I got a personal tour of all the different things between the houses and Jimmy Buffett and all that kind of stuff. That's them all there. And they all gave us, we all got our free shirt. We got inducted into the Key West Bicycle Club, so we all got red shirts to wear after that. And that's Bruce right in the middle with the weird helmet on his head and everything like that. He was the tour guide. And that pretty much ended our trip. That night, NBC called and said, we want to do an interview with you in a hotel. We're going like, really? So that's the guy back in the NBC room talking to us in our hotel room for the national news and everything like that. From there, what happened after that? I don't know what the next one is. Oh, that's the movie that's coming out about our first trip. But that's the thing. And then, less than a year later, I get this phone call from New York. And I thought it was a hoax. And the lady was from the Today Show. And she says, we want to interview you and your daughter for the Today Show. So I'm going, for what? And he goes, we got this program called Dad's Got This. It's about things about dads doing with their kids. And they had saw this and decided they wanted to do it. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know that we're really worthy of that, but they thought so. So what they did is they came up to Mackinac Island for our meet that year. And so there's this film crew from NBC riding around with me and my daughter. They had the weirdest concoction. They had a regular bike with a trailer on the back of it, and the camera guy and there was two ladies. They were funny as heck. They'd ride on there. We come riding by, and the one had pedaled like her guts out this ride behind us so they could take photos. And then we went up on the Grand Hotel porch and did this big interview for this thing. Then they flew me to New York to do an interview with Charles Melvin. So I got to meet Charles Melvin, and we had a bike there and everything like that. Could not get him on the bike to save my life. But that was very strange. So that aired on the Today Show last year, and it's still on their website if you want to see that. And it's just basically about me and my daughter doing this together as a father and daughter thing, and that's what it was really all about. So that, like I said, we got way more attention without looking for any of it, quite honestly. That is my daughter's blog, which is still out there. It's called High Wheel Ride on WordPress if you want to read any of it. She is a very humorous writer. So what she writes about, since you guys are all outdoors and woodsy people, you'll identify with most of the stuff she talks about. She talks about all the stuff you have to do when you're out in the open that nobody talks about. And she just basically tells everybody what she had to do today, and they get a big kick out of it. I think that's it. The number one question I get all the time after I finish my trip is, what are you doing next? And in 2021, that is my sister there. She had always wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail. It was kind of on my bucket list also. So in 2021, we started the Appalachian Trail to do it in 3 lashes. 3 sections are called long ass section hikes, which you guys are probably aware of. So we were doing a third, and a third. So that year we did a third from there up into Roanoke. This last year we did from Roanoke up to the Vermont border. And then the last picture, I think, is where we were at. That's where we're at right now. So in June 30th, we leave to finish the Appalachian Trail this year. So that's what we're doing now, off the bike. Any questions?
Yes, when was the bike built?
That bike is from 1897 or 1898. Somewhere, we're not really sure, somewhere 1897, 1898, probably 98.
Phil, that's older than you.
I am not the original owner.
Where do you find parts, or who makes parts for that sort of bike?
Yeah, that's difficult. I make a lot of my own parts. Fortunately, like spokes and stuff like that, I learned how to make spokes and stuff like that. The tire rubber, the wheelmen have made from a manufacturer. We just have one person order it because it's solid rubber with a hole in it, and it has to be replaced. And my front tire was replaced after that trip. It just wore. Starts wearing flatter and flatter, and pretty soon you get close to where the wire is, and then it's going to come off. And when your back tire comes off, it's not a real big deal because it's in the back, so it's kind of like getting it flat in the back. It just kind of goes squirrely. You get off the bike. When the front tire comes off, it gets caught up in the fork and everything, and throws you over the handlebars. Is what it does, because it basically instantly puts the brakes on. Is what it does, because that rubber comes down, goes between the fork, and comes off. So you don't want your rubber coming off or your wire breaking. But other than that, there are wheelmen that are machinists that make parts and stuff like that. But on the road, it's very difficult. Our first trip, we had much more difficulty with things breaking down. And we just got lucky with wheelmen close enough that had spare parts that they would take off their bike and bring it to us to put on there. Because you just can't go to your bike shop and get anything for that bike at all.
You did the east-west one. Where did you start and end?
We started in San Francisco and ended in Boston.
So did you have to go up and down mountains with it?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, we did. I can show you real quick. Hang on. Let's see if we can get, this will show it. Maybe. Let's see if this does. Yeah, this will do. It'll only take me a second. You can see 1.5 minutes of that trip. But the sound wasn't working, so you won't hear the music, but
I suspect you're pretty used to the high altitude of the bike. I mean, normally you're sitting down at maybe like car level, but you're looking above cars and stuff, and you're double the height of the railing on the bridges. Does that give you pause? Or are you just very used to it now?
I'm used to it. My daughter doesn't like it. You're actually much safer riding a high wheel than you'll ever be on your road bike or your mountain bike ever. Two reasons. Number one, you're higher so you can be seen better. Number two, you're an oddity. All you cyclists know that a bicycle on the road is just a nuisance to what they think for most things. And when I ride my road bike, it's the same way. They'll blow by you, they'll do all kinds of stuff. But on a high wheel, it's odd enough that, you know, they all want to see it, they all want to slow down, so it really helps because they look. So you're actually much safer up there. The downside, though, is it's a lot further to fall when something goes wrong. So this is the trailer for the new movie that's going to come out sometime. Without the music.
You said you dipped your wheel in the Gulf of Mexico. Did you dip it in Superior or the St. Mary's River?
It was St. Mary's, yeah.
Yeah?
At the
Okay.
very beginning, yeah.
Cool.
So that's us trucking across riding through San Francisco. And that's how you get across the mountains in the Rocky. You walk. That's the salt flats. That's a bad dismount. So we rode I-80 all across the West. And there was our first mishap. I had to tape my tire back on for a week till till Pam could mail me another one. But you can see you meet all kinds of people. And that's me putting new tire rubbing on. That's my friend Charlie right there. That's us eating behind an abandoned gas station where we spent the night. That's the Berkshires right there.
How many years have you been riding these?
I've been riding since 1991.
So when's this film coming out?
We don't know. It's pretty much finished. We actually got to see the first raw cut of it at Christmas time. They let us see it. I have elderly parents, 90 and 92, 94 and 92, and we're concerned that they're never going to see the movie. And it's mostly about my daughter. That's what the movie was about. It was supposed to be about her being the first woman across.
Okay.
So they sent us the rough cut of the movie to watch.
So there was someone else who did the filming?
Yeah, it was a film crew from Los Angeles.
Okay. Are they going to do any film festivals?
That's where it's going.
Oh.
Yeah.
How long did that trip take?
The first trip took for 53 days, which we rode, 54 days. What's this thing doing? Who knows?
Vimeo must have autoplayed whatever was next to it.
Yep. Yeah, that one took 53 days. We rode, it was 54 days, we rode 53 of them. We only took one day off, and that's where you saw us sitting with their cat. We were in Ohio, my wife came and picked us up, brought us up to home. We replaced all the rubber on all the wheels at this point, because it already had over 2,000 miles on the tire rubber. And the rear tires don't last anywhere near as long as the front tires, because they're so much smaller. You know, they're just doing that, they wear out much quicker. You can get across the country pretty much on one front tire, but it takes 2 to 3 rear tires to get across.
Will you show us how you get on?
I can give you kind of a demonstration, yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Without getting on it.
Well, you can go right around the back then.
You can actually ride in here. So, basically, this makes it a lot harder. There's a little step on the back going right back here,
Okay.
which you probably can't see, but see the little step? That's all you get. That's all you get. So basically, you scooter it, so your foot's up here, and you're just scooting it along. And as you're doing that, you get 2 or 3 steps, you got it rolling enough that you can hop up and get on the seat and get your feet on the pedals. So it's such a big wheel, you can go very slow on these bikes. I mean, you can ride incredibly slow because you have this giant gyroscope once you get going, but You have to get your feet on and get it going, but that's on the same way getting off. Basically, it's rolling, you get your foot on here, it's still moving when you get off, you get back off and you step on the ground. Or you can pedal dismount like you guys do a normal bike. So you just wait till the pedal's coming right down the bottom, you just swing your leg over and jump off.
Does the gyroscopic effect keep you upright?
No.
Like, you know, like
But it does keep the wheel wanting to go straight, other than your feet are constantly trying to push it the wrong way. You rode one, when you ride a tricycle as a little kid, you figure it out pretty quick, because when you push on the pedal, it turns, so you do this. You see, you put someone on, it's going like this all over, because they're shoving the pedal. It takes you very little time on the tricycle when you're a little kid to figure out how to position your feet to do it. So it's the same thing on here, not torquing the wheel back and forth, so that the wheel isn't doing this all the time.
Was your daughter's bike the same size?
No, hers is smaller than mine. So the bikes were all manufactured based on your inseam. So they started at about 46 inches, all the way up to 60 inches. A 60-inch bike is huge. Wow. This is a 54-inch bike. She rides a 51 because she has shorter legs. So it's from here down to the bottom of the stroke of what you can reach. It's kind of like what you do on your regular modern bike, C-post down to the bottom thing and the whole frame. So it was all based on, this wheel was all based on the distance of how big a ride. So she had she was at a disadvantage because she, rides a 3-inch smaller wheel, so she's always in one gear less than I am all the time. So we ride her speed, not my speed, because it's not fair, because she can't keep up. She's a much faster downhiller than I am. She's much more brave downhilling, because you don't, since all you have is a spoon brake here, which is basically wants to do this. So the only time I ever used it was in the mountains, like when we were descending the Rockies and stuff like that. You're backpedaling for all your brakes. So as you're backpedaling to keep the bike slowing, I don't like going any faster than about 16 when I can't see where I'm going. I've been up to probably close to 30 miles an hour on this bike, but I could see where the road was going, and you could, there was no stop sign, there's no curves, there's no nothing, there's no traffic. It's straight shot. You're out in the middle of Wyoming, and you can see where you're going to go. But she could downhill faster than I could. I could uphill faster because you're in a bigger gear, so I had to push harder to get up. And you get the speed. Once you get down to about just below 3 miles an hour, you get off the bike, because at that point you can walk faster than. And it's a lot easier walking and pushing the bike at 3 miles an hour than is riding it. So.
Is that a bit of modern electronics on your fork?
Yeah, it is. My speedometer was on here. When I put it in the truck to bring it here, I snapped it off. I just broke the cable things. So I have a modern speedometer on here. Yeah, so you can see the magnets.
Yeah.
There's actually 2 on this wheel because the programming doesn't allow for a wheel this size. And I won a great bet at the bike store, betting the guy that he couldn't get 1 magnet. He says, nope, I'll get it on there with 1 magnet. I walk back in the bike store, his head was hanging down. I go, I already knew it. My friends have done it. It takes 2 magnets, and you divide it by half, and then you can get a wheel size that works to get it. I think that's pretty close. But it helps for us to keep what your distance is and stuff like that when you're out doing long rides and stuff like that, how far you're going, how far you have to go.
So I can see you stayed at hotels, ate at restaurants. What did you carry for gear?
Clothes
In your bag?
and tools, yeah. Clothes, tools, and snacks. That was pretty much it, yeah. You're very limited on what you carry. I had it all figured out how we could camp on. We were going to carry a small tent. We had 2 sleeping bags. We had figured out with a backpack, 2 of these and 2 backpacks, we could do it. We could actually camp. But once you start putting all that weight on your back, it's all on your seat. And I was riding with a pack for a while, and my daughter the first trip got incredible saddle sores and stuff like that. Because remember when we started, it was August, it was 110 degrees, you're sweating and everything like that. She ended up raw. And then when you start putting a backpack on her and stuff like that, and putting that weight where you never get off of it was just like misery. So I ride with this on the back all the time. So all the tools and everything that you want, as much weight on the bike as possible. Then the bike starts getting heavier and stuff like that. The bike is already just under 40 pounds to start with. Then you start sticking, 10 pounds worth of gear on it and water and all that kind of stuff. So you're pushing quite a bit of weight with 1 gear.
Do they make modern ones, I suspect?
They do. There's a couple companies that make modern ones. They're huge. These are huge over like in Australia, and that for racing. They still race high wheels, especially in Tanzania and stuff like that. I have a friend from Puerto Rico that travels all over the world racing high wheels. And the bikes weigh 18 pounds. They're light, they're made out of all, modern stuff like that. They're scary to ride. I mean, they got a tire that's about a half-inch wide.
Modern
It is-
pneumatic wheels?
No, they're hard tire rubber, but you're only on like this much rubber. I was riding one out west, someone called it Edley, and they let me get on this bike, and the second you hit the pedals, the bike was like almost gone. I mean, it was hard to stay on the dang thing, and I'm pedaling, and I am just going like, I'm just going. And then these things, they start singing when you get up above 20 miles an hour. It's whirring, and I'm going down this hill at this airport, and I'm riding, and I'm going around the corner, and I'm starting to think, I'm on a half-inch rubber. I'm only a quarter inch away from that rim. When I go around this corner, and you get on the metal, that bike's going to be gone. This is going to go right out from underneath you. But man, they are fast. They're fun to ride, but they are spooky. I mean, they're just spooky because they weigh nothing, and you're just flying on the dang thing. And there's no way to stop it. I mean, you crash. That's all there is to it.
No coasting.
The people that coast, that do high-speed coasting, take their feet off the pedals and put them over the handlebars. So you sit back with your feet out like this, and it looks kind of crazy and stuff like that, but and I don't do it, mostly because I have all this equipment on here, and I don't want to go that fast when I'm loaded and stuff like that. But the thing is, if you crash that way, you're going to hit feet first. And if you want to see one of the most horrific bike crashes ever, let's look up Jack Castor. And he was doing 50 miles an hour while a film crew was going along, and his front tire came on. And they have the whole thing. I mean, he just goes, basically, the only reason he lived is because he had his feet over the handlebars, and he hit feet first, and then just went flying, tumbling, and the bike went tumbling and everything like that, and he broke a bunch of bones and stuff like that. But if he had had his feet under here, he'd have been dead. He would hit face first. But I've watched it once, and I can't even watch it. It's just so disturbing to watch someone crash on this high wheel bike. And he's just sitting up there just going along, and you see the wheels start acting up, and there's nothing he can do about it. There is nothing he can do. And they filmed the whole thing, and he just goes crashing through, the bike goes flying everywhere. It's ugly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.